remember Tampa, the way she used to be, the places we would run to, the faces we would see. Yes, I remember Tampa, her sweet, soft memories, a city rising on the move, a simple yet progressive groove. Yes, I remember Tampa, she remembers me.
Hello and welcome to the Tampa Native Show. Stay tuned now for the most entertaining webcast from the studios at Tampa Digital in Ybor City, Florida. Join your hosts Mario Nunez, Steve Canella, and the 15-Minute Girl as they celebrate growing up in Tampa. From Shock Armstrong to Shakey's Pizza, from Braddock Street to Buffalo Avenue. Get ready to call in and tell us your stories, because sharing your memories has never been this much fun. And now, Mario Nunez and Steve Canella.
She remembers me.
Oh, hello and welcome. That was pre-planned. Hello and welcome to the Tampa Native Show. My name is Mario Nunez, seated alongside my broadcast partner,
Steve Canella.
and of course,
The 15-Minute Girl.
say hello, darling.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
And doesn't she look great? Look at the 15-Minute Girl.
She looks fantastic.
Man, she went to
Well,
the
thank you,
she went to the
boys.
beauty parlor today and got
The
all
beauty parlor.
She got all beautified on us. Look at her. She looks
Great
good.
hairdo,
and she
really looks
sitting
nice.
at the big table with
Thanks.
us, and
Thanks.
we got a great show lined up for you tonight. We just want to remind everybody that's joining us, perhaps for the first time, that this is the only place in the known universe where you can tune in each and every week to get your updates on Tampa history. We sit here each and every week. We come to you 7 o'clock now on Tuesdays here from the studios of Tampa Digital, and we talk all about growing up in Tampa, when Tampa was real small.
The way we remembered it.
The real Tampa.
The way we remembered it.
The way we remember Tampa,
Exactly.
when we used to call MLK Buffalo Avenue,
Yeah.
when you went much beyond
Exactly.
Hillsborough, there wasn't too much going on, and certainly if you wandered past Bush Boulevard, why, you got lost. When that stretch of Adamo Drive east of downtown Tampa was dark and there weren't any businesses on either side until you got all the way out to Brandon, which, by the way, was a one-horse town back then, and we knew that. And of course, there was Palmetto and there was everything south of Apollo Beach. There was nothing going. That's what our show is all about. So we'd like to welcome those viewers that are just joining us for the first time.
Welcome in.
And for our fans that are always with us each and every week, welcome back. Happy New Year once again.
Thanks for tuning in.
Stevie, I got to say that
Yes.
last night at 8 o'clock, 15-Minute Girl and I, we tuned in channel 32 on Verizon because that's our cable provider at home, and we happened upon this fabulous new show on
What's
the
it called?
Tampa Bay Education Channel. It's called the Tampa
Tampa
Native
Native
Show.
How about that?
And I got to be honest with you, it was really, really extra special to see us back on.
Yes.
And I'll say that because we grew up, those of us here certainly in studio, grew up during that magic age when television was it. I mean, those of us certainly old enough remember what TV dinners were all about when they were first introduced. And what did we do with those TV dinners? Why, we sat in front of our TV.
TV.
Right,
And,
with the
and
tray.
with the TV tray, and we watched TV.
Absolutely.
We grew up with the television.
Television.
So there's something that happens to us, really and truthfully, it's kind of anatomical, it's kind of physiological. When you sit in front of your television, your energy changes. And whatever comes out of that TV is usually something that we receive with, those kinds of warm, fuzzy
Right,
feelings.
right.
And we experienced that last night watching our show. So for those of you that have Verizon and Bright House, which is just about everybody, because again, TV you have to pay for these days, and when we were kids, TV was free.
Free
Absolutely.
You
TV.
had those rabbit ears, and of course you can get the signal for free. But channel 32 on Verizon, channel 614 if you have the expanded basic for Bright House. And I want to say it's channel 139. I'm going to confirm that and get back to you guys. 139 if you don't have the expanded basic, if you just have basic cable. That's on Bright House. So we made our debut last night on television. It was great. And I know we picked up some viewers because I was doing some serious promoting on Facebook before the show came on. And after the show, we got some reviews from some folks saying, hey,
Hey, great show.
We saw it for
We
the
just
first
found it.
time. Thanks
Awesome.
thanks so much for doing this show. So we're off to a great start, and hopefully, before too much longer, we'll be able to broadcast from there live. But in the meantime, you can catch the replay of this show this week with Tampa native and Sicilian historian Mr. Joe Caltagirone. He's going to be on in just a few minutes.
Can't wait.
You can catch the replay of this show Monday nights at 8 p.m. And if you happen to be home Tuesday afternoon, or any afternoon, Tuesday afternoon especially at noon, is the replay. So lots of good things coming around the corner for the Tampa Native Show in the new season.
Absolutely.
You know, guys, a lot of our fans are really happy about that, being on TV. In fact, I ran into Dory and Alan Antonori.
Hi, Dory. Hi, Alan.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
And first thing they said, we're so happy you're going to be back on TV again.
Yeah,
And
I've heard that too.
But we hear that from everyone, so it's so exciting that we're back on.
And we look good on TV too.
Yeah, it's just something magical about coming out of that box, you know. And we know full well what's coming. Just like the people who grew up listening to radio when the TV first came into play, they probably had an idea that Inner Sanctum and The Shadow and all those great shows on the radio that Mr. Caltagirone will probably be able to talk to us about. They knew that TV was going to be the next move. Well, we also know that the internet is probably going to be the next move for most of us here. So, but in the meantime, hard by your TVs, 8 o'clock, Monday nights, channel 32 and 614 Bright House. Let me just say that last week, we read at the end of the show, if you guys recall, we read an obituary for a gentleman by the name of Mr. Tony Marino. You remember the obituary?
I sure do.
I do.
Absolutely.
What was super nice was after I got home on the night of the show last week, I got a phone call about 10:15 in the evening, and it was Rick Marino, Tony's son. He got my email a little bit late, but he wanted to express his thank yous for taking the time to remember his dad. And of course, I told him that we read the obituary, and you know how sorry we were that we didn't get a chance to meet him because we would have loved to have had him on our show. He's the quintessential, is that the word?
Quintessential.
Sort of like that.
He's the quintessential Tampa native and somebody who we would have loved to have had on the show. Now,
And let me add really quick that the conversation went for a really long time. They were talking about old Tampa and just having a blast. So that was cool too.
Yeah, Rick, thanks so much for calling. And you know, I know that Rick, when he started telling the stories about his daddy, they just came pouring out. And and we're going to have Rick. Rick lives up in Jacksonville. We're going to have him on our show the next time he's here so we can talk a little bit more about his dad. Actually, this past week was the 1-year anniversary of Mr. Marino's passing.
Okay.
So, but he knew everybody. Suffice it to say that everybody knew him, Mr. Marino, Tony. He was doing bodybuilding and things with health and nutrition before it was even in vogue. Just a tremendous. Okay, the story I'm going to tell you real quick about Mr. Marino, and I said it last week in the obituary. This is fascinating. He loved Tampa so much that when he traveled to Jacksonville to see his son Rick, he traveled with water from Tampa. He would fill gallon jugs, put it in his car, and drive to Jacksonville.
Tampa water.
And you know when he would come back, Stevie?
What's that?
When the water ran out.
Oh, wow.
He knew it was time to come back home.
What a great story.
And Rick said that he brushed his teeth with it, he made his coffee with it, and he washed his hair with it. He loved Tampa that much. So in honor of Mr. Marino, Mr. Tampa, we say we miss you, and Rick will have you on the show as soon as you're down here so we can talk more about your daddy.
He would have been a great man to have on the show, wouldn't
Yes,
he?
yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And listen, we're off to a great start. We'll talk a little bit about, maybe at the end of the show, we'll talk just a little bit about that. Well, I'll mention it now before we go to our first break, and then we don't have to mention it again. That game last night, and I know our show was up against that game last night. 8 o'clock, 8:20 was kickoff, that national championship game. LSU came out and laid a gigantic, humongous egg.
Poor LSU.
You know, I think personally,
I felt bad for them.
I felt terrible, and here's what I'm going to say about that. You know, I think too much time went on between the last game of the season and the championship game last night. The offense couldn't get into any rhythm. Of course, they had no answer for the Alabama front four, and you know the end result was what, 21-0, darling?
That's the end result. Yes.
21-0. So not only did they lay an egg, but there was a giant goose egg next to LSU on the scoreboard.
Yep.
It was quite a snore of a game. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it.
Hey, you know what? We've got a new viewer,
Oh,
good.
Tina Woodcock Teakin, born and raised here, but now living in Fort Lauderdale. And she says, I'm so excited to see home. So
Wow.
welcome
Hi,
in,
Tina.
Welcome to our
Glad
show.
you found
definitely.
us.
We're so glad.
I think she's a friend of Susan Albritton McIntosh, right?
Good, good.
I think so.
Yeah, that's neat. 'Cause Susan was a previous winner
that?
as well.
Yeah.
One of our Bolita drawings. So remember, guys, if you haven't done so already, get on that Tampa Native Show page, tampanativeshow.com, and pick your Bolita numbers. We got some great gifts that we're going to be giving away towards the end of the show. So make sure you get your numbers.
A lot of chatter tonight, 15 minutes.
Yep.
There is a little bit of chatter. We also have Clint Fagan. I don't remember seeing Clint on the chat
There's
before,
a new
so
name.
welcome in, Clint.
We love our new viewers.
We do.
Yes, we do. Mike Padrinan's on.
And
Big Mike.
And Terry Marino. Hi, Terry. Jim Carney.
Hey, guys.
Susan Albritton. That's it.
Great,
deal.
great. Well, we're off to a great start in the new year, and we love our new viewers, and we love our out-of-town viewers. So those
love
of you that are,
everyone.
yes, we do, and those of you that are from out of town and you're on the chat, make sure that you put down, hey, I'm watching from, be it Fort Lauderdale, be it Lexington, Kentucky, or
And I'll give you a shout out.
there we go.
Ryan Sebastian is on.
Well, here we
Ryan
go.
Sebastian is here. Hi, Ryan.
There you go. Attaboy.
Welcome
This
in.
is great.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a short break now. We'll be back with Mr. Caltagirone in just a minute. We're going to talk all about
Good stories.
the history
Oh, yes.
of the Sicilian migration here, and the integral part, the very important part that our Sicilian familia, played here in the development of Ybor City, and of course Tampa, West Tampa, and all the good stuff to come.
Great stories coming up.
Stay right there. We'll
you
be
go.
right back with Mr. Caltagirone. Thanks for watching.
Hi,
We're the Tampa natives.
Welcome to our show.
I remember Tampa, the way she used to be.
Hi, my name is Steve Canella. What would you think if I told you there was a live interactive webcast all about growing up in Tampa?
Hi, they call me the 15-minute girl. What if I told you there's a show where you can hear all of those wonderful stories of our youth?
my name is Mario Nunez. And how would you feel if I told you there was a place you could go each week to feel those memories come alive? A place where you'd feel as if you'd been dipped in magic waters.
A show where you can see all those iconic images of Tampa and be transported back to her glorious youth. A veritable trip down memory lane.
Those times spent at Britton Plaza, the pizza parlor after high school football games, the Colonnade, or how about going downtown to the Tampa, the Palace, and the Florida theaters?
A show where photographs and videos of places like Lowry Park, Al Lopez Field, the Florida State Fair when it was on North Boulevard, and Tampa Highline come alive each week.
A place where you can call in and share your memories, or listen to our guests tell their stories of growing up in Tampa.
The memories would be so thick you'd have to brush them away from your face. Well, this place does exist, but not just in your imagination, in the palm of your hand, or on a laptop, or a desktop, or your very own personal viewing device.
You mean like this?
No, like this.
And like this. And it's called the Tampa Native Show. Now, doesn't that sound cool?
We'd like to welcome those thousands of happy viewers and fans to our brand new online home at tampanativeshow.com. Remember, tampanativeshow.com. Why? Because sharing your memories has never been this much fun. So until we see you then, salute and happy days.
That's a wrap.
Yes, I remember Tampa. She remembers me.
Welcome back to the Tampa Native Show again. I'm Mario Nunez, seated alongside Steve Canella, the 15-minute girl, and we'd like to welcome to the table Mr. Joe Caltagirone. Joe,
Thank you so much for being back.
it wasn't too many weeks you were sitting right there with us
about 3
having a
or 4
nice
weeks ago.
conversation. That's
Not
right.
too long ago.
Joe has so many stories.
At least I don't know one, by the way.
There you go. That
Happy,
too.
Happy New Year to you, you Italian fella, you. How'd you spend your New Year?
And buon anno to you too.
I was going to say, how do you say it in
Buon
Italian?
anno, buon anno.
Exactly.
How did you spend your New Year?
At the Italian Club, of course. At the
I was there.
You were there with Steve.
I was there.
Tampa Steve was there as
That's
well.
right. We had
Was it
a
a
Yeah.
good time?
I had a great time.
Very good, very good. The
Nice
best,
turnout?
the best in town.
Excellent.
And
Thanks
it's
for bringing those
just
pictures for me, too.
really
Appreciate that.
something different, formal and nice, and no one's climbing the walls. And
Oh, it was
was
nice.
the
very
music
pleasant.
was great.
Music was good. That's always important. Good food.
Yeah.
Very
is al-
good food.
Yeah, food is
Excellent,
always
excellent.
important.
hors d'oeuvres and food and open bar.
Oh, that's
That part,
nice.
that part was really good, too.
Well, we're going to see if next, there's some chatter. We're going to see if possibly next year we can't evoke some excitement here from our fan base with the Tampa Native Show, and maybe we'll help blow it out there at the Italian Club next year.
I'd like to have a nice table just for this group.
Well, that'd be
that would
great.
be great,
Thank you
yeah.
so much,
That'd be
Joe.
perfect.
But you send the VIP call out, and we'll be there for sure.
All right.
That's absolutely for
It'd
sure.
be great.
And Joe, you know I joined the Italian Club also a few weeks ago.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I want to help out with the committees, maybe the picnic in the park, or possibly even the New Year's Eve party for next year.
Yeah, it's nice to have young people join the club.
Yeah, thanks for that young part. I'm telling you right now.
He's happy to be called young.
Yeah,
by the way.
we feel pretty good about that.
Well,
Exactly.
that's what has brought up the club is
Yeah.
You got to keep
young people,
introducing the youth.
college students. And we were down to about 200, now we're up to about 800.
Oh, that's
Good.
good. That's
really
very
Thanks to Joe Capitano and Sal Oriardo, who
Good.
Doing a great job.
and their young board of directors, boys and girls. In the old days, ladies were not allowed.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Isn't that the
In
truth?
many places.
It
Right.
made
things
a
were not
difference.
allowed.
Made it
You know,
really did.
I talked to Joe on Saturday to talk about the show a little bit, and he started telling me some stories, one especially about a cow. And it got about a quarter of the way through the story, and I said, Joe, stop. I don't want to hear any more, because I want to hear the punchline at the end. I have no idea how the story ends.
Well,
But he's got a lot of stories tonight to tell, so stay tuned.
In pre-production this evening, when we were talking with Joe, we had to stop him more than once.
We did.
because he was getting to the good stuff.
Time
we
out,
said,
time out, Joe.
we want to
We
react.
wanted to hear it
Yeah, we
live.
want to react
Exactly.
live and in real time. So save those stories. Well, why don't we go ahead and pick up the conversation and give everybody a little retrospective, a little history. Joe, we were talking about the migration of the Sicilian from Sicily, Santo Stefano, first to New Orleans and then to Tampa. Talk to us a little bit about how that happened, if I have the chronology right.
well, like it really goes back with the unification of Italy, which was in 1860, and so after the unification, it's a long story, but after the unification, the king of Italy, Piemonte, of the House of Savoy, and his prime minister really did not want Sicily to be part of the unification of Italy. But Giuseppe Garibaldi insisted and got his way, and then Garibaldi actually had to exile himself.
Okay.
His
Unpopular decision.
Well, his freedom fighters, the Garibaldinis, were mistreated by the army, the regular army, and he retired to his farm in Sardinia. But anyway, these Sicilians, all the land grants and the railroads and the schools that Garibaldi had promised the freedom fighters and Sicilians did not happen. All of their land went back to the church and to the barons, and it was like old time.
Yeah.
But anyway, after 20 years, the Sicilian says, "What's going on here? We were better off when the Spanish were here, the Bourbons.
Yeah.
Nothing has improved. It's gotten worse." And they had a couple of revolts, and the king sent down troops and were killing Sicilians.
Maintain
So-
order on the island, so
Right.
to speak, huh?
So it was time to get out. And in about 1880, 20 years later, these four teenage immigrants from Santo Stefano decided to leave their village. And you can imagine how hard it would to leave the village, to leave your family,
sure,
your
yeah.
friends. And you're going to a world that you can't speak the language, you don't know what's there.
Strange new land.
And so they took off. They walked 2 days to Palermo. From Palermo, they went to Naples in their small ship, and then to the States in a steamer.
What a journey.
One stack steamer. It took 3 weeks.
Wow.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
3 weeks.
Wow.
Last time I went across on the boat took 6 days.
Yeah.
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 So,
that was
anyway.
probably hard travel too. I'm
Yes,
guessing
yeah.
it wasn't an
Sure.
easy crossing.
And the cost to get to New York was about $30. And it was hard.
But who had a nickel back then, right? Who, you know.
Exactly.
It was hard to come by. But anyway, they made it to Italy, and I'm going to dramatize this a little bit. But
Sure.
they each each country had a aid society there to help you find a job in America. And of course, they went to the Italian aid society there, and they asked these young boys, what do you do? And they said, we're farmers. He says, where are you from? Sicily. He says, oh, we got just a place for you where the sun shines all the time, just like Sicily. It's called St. Cloud, Florida.
St. Cloud.
Of all places.
Wow.
How about that? huh?
Okay. Okay.
St. Cloud was a huge plantation, right? That's outside of, near Kissimmee, Disney World.
Yeah.
And so they took a train down to St. Cloud, and that was the only rail that would go to St. Cloud in the center of the state because it was such a large sugar plantation. Anyway, when they got there, it was 75 cents a day, 6 days a week, 16 hours a day, but it was a job.
Sure.
And 75 cents a day was a lot of money.
Yeah, it went further.
So they start writing to their relatives and friends in the village, and word got around the 5 villages, right, grouped together. And this trickle of 5 of these 4 young men, 2 were the Cacciatore brother, Demi and Debona. And but then you get an argument on that. Some family says, no, we were the first.
We were the first in St. Cloud, huh?
So, but they start writing to their friends, and this trickle of 4 immigrants turned into a flood. It actually turned into a flood. And my grandfather was in the second group. They went to St. Cloud as a young man of 18. And then he heard about, in the Tampa area, they were building railroads. And so they decided to walk
Oh, my.
west.
It's a long walk.
A long walk.
I'm sorry.
Long walk.
I'm sorry, Joe. Speaking to my good ear, did you say they walked from St. Cloud?
Walked to St. Cloud.
Wow.
Following a wagon trail.
The wagon trail, sure,
And
the beaten path.
once they got here, they found out not only did they walk here, but they were going to build a railroad back.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
no.
How about that?
Oh, no.
So they worked on the railroad.
Sure.
But my grandfather, telling the story when I first heard it, and he looked upset about it. In fact, he was quite angry about the railroad. He said his foreman carried the bullwhip
Oh, that's
and
rough.
treated them like schiavi. So I remember asking my dad, what's a schiavi?
Yeah.
He said, it's a slave.
Oh.
And as soon as he managed to have $200, he goes and buy Adamo Drive as we know it today.
Man.
how about that?
Nice purchase.
That's a
Good
great
piece
What
of
a great
story.
purchase.
Adamo Drive was all farmland from 22nd Street to 13th, well, shipyard there. And as a kid, I could stand on the railroad at Adamo and look south, and it was all green vegetables out there. There were more Italian farmers out there than they occupied the whole area.
We have the Sicilian immigration to thank for a lot of, well, the restaurants, certainly the bakeries, and I guess you could say that when the tobacco industry, when the cigar industry here was thriving, it was the Italian immigrant that helped feed us through those times.
Well, my other grandfather, who was disowned by his father because he wouldn't marry the girl that his father's choice, who owned the land next to their land, that would be
Right,
their land. So,
right.
well, anyway, so he had to come. He came to America. His brother was here, also disowned, because he was a playboy and a war hero and so forth. But they came here, and my grandfather managed to get a job in a cigar factory as a laborer in the basement, pushing big boxes of tobacco.
Leaf tobacco around,
right.
sure.
But being a farmer, he was kind of natural of how to grade the leaves.
He understood the leaf, yeah, he
Right.
understood the leaf.
So he was doing it on his own. So his foreman, his Spanish foreman, of course, all the Spaniards controlled the cigar factories. His foreman was so impressed, he decided to promote him. So he was promoted to a higher position, and he also had to get a bookkeeper because he could not read or write. So he hired this gentleman that was very prominent in Tampa, a 17-year-old kid, Mr. Spoto. And,
There's a name that goes
Popular.
back. Yeah.
yeah,
name.
We know some
the
Spotos.
great Spoto family.
Of course.
My dentist was a Spoto.
And he's,
As many words.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
but anyway, Spoto was his bookkeeper, keeping track of the inventory and so forth. And the Spaniards and the Cubans, workers of this factory, went on strike because they had promoted an Italian
Oh,
labor.
an Italian labor.
And they were on strike, as the story goes, for 3 days. And the management or the foreman would not give in. And so they all came back to work. And
Joe, we've got, you know what, your conversation has sparked some interest in the community. Even before we gave the phone number out, which we're just about to do. Stevie, I want you to do that now. We do have a caller on the line. Stevie, give the number out and then introduce our caller.
Absolutely. That number is 813 area code 526-0816. That's 813-526-0816. And caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi guys, Joe Beanie from Seminole.
Hey, Joe Beanie.
An Italian caller.
Yes.
Yep.
Appropriate.
Yeah, hi guys.
Good to hear
Hi,
from you,
Joe.
Joe.
Good to hear
Thanks
from
for
you.
calling
Good
in.
to see you today when we saw each other today at our favorite restaurant in West Tampa, Amaryllis Sandwiches and More. Joe,
Yeah, it was a
say
great,
hello to
great
Mr.
lunch, great lunch. Mr. Caltagirone, how are you doing, sir?
fine, thank you.
Good. I wanted to bring up talking about the farming issue in the Sicilian. We had my great grandparents had property 7th Avenue between 39th Street and 40th Street, and then from 7th Avenue to 10th Avenue, they had 3 block feet of a farm and stuff that they raised. I don't know exactly what they raised, but they had a farm, they had animals, and they had families. There were two structures on the property, 2 homes, and all the family lived on the same property and worked in the farms and did certain things back. I believe they got here around 1897.
That's a pretty good long time.
A long time ago.
And the last name was Abene as well?
What's the name?
I didn't hear you.
The last name was Abene as well, Abini, just like yours?
Yeah, A-B-B-E-N-E.
A-B-B-E-N-E back then.
Yeah, there was trucks farmed all over Ybor City.
Right.
There was one on right behind the Don Monte canning plant, which was 30th Street, 8th, 9th, and 10th Avenue. And Mr. Capitano, he had a huge, about 12-foot spring ditch that went 2 blocks long, and he was growing watercress.
I love watercress.
18 inches
I've never
high.
seen it growing. I don't know what it looks like,
haven't
but I
either.
love it in my salad.
It was spring water, nice and clean, and but as he was saying, the truck farms were all over,
Yeah.
all over Tampa.
And I had,
Makes sense, though.
Joe, I had to ask.
Our family came from Sambuca.
From
Sambuca.
From
Sambuca, Sambuca di Sicilia.
Right.
Now, you know, before they changed the name, Sambuca di Sicilia was Sambuca Zorba, Z-B-U-T. And during the Mussolini era, it sounded too Arabic, so they dropped a Zorba and put the Sambuca di Sicilia. And that's the best wine of all of Sicily, if not Italy, comes from Sambuca. My family also, my mother's family also came from Sambuca. Now, I got to tell you about Sambuca, how it started. In 1492,
That name, that rings familiar somehow.
bell, doesn't it?
1492.
there's a book. There's a book out, The Glory and Disgrace of Spain, 1492. The glory was, of course, when Columbus discovered America. But the disgrace was they pushed out all the Jews out of Spain in 1492, and most of them settled in Sicily, and especially Sambuca de Sicilia. And
That's interesting.
that was, well, they pushed them out in 1492, and when they settled in Sicily, 8 years later, 1500, Isabel and Ferdinand decided to push the Jews out of Sicily and take their money away and so forth. And those who did not leave Sicily, they had to change their name to a city of Sicily and change their religion, of course. So when you hear names like Palermo, Messina, Noto, Leto, Siracusa, those were names that they had to take when they changed their religion and their name.
From Jewish to Christianity, yeah.
Right, and those that did not leave Spain, they would have to put a Z on the end of their name.
Oh, interesting.
That would denote that they had converted to
Catholicism, yeah, to Christianity.
And but even our name, Caltagirone, which is a city, but we were supposed to have our name in the 13th century before 1500. But and if that's not true, then we're a descendant of immigrants of Spain.
How about that?
Which probably at some point, I'm just guessing, I'm not sure, but I'm just guessing, everything must have emanated from that country. Although there were certainly things happening in Italy, and Sicily, as we talked about before, was because it was an island nation and because it was so accessible on all parts by water, there were many different times during the history when it was conquered and run over by other groups. Joe, hold that comment that you're about to make, because we're going to go to a little bit of a break. Before we go to our break, Mr. Abini, since you're there and we know you've already got your Bolita number, I'm going to make an appeal right now to everybody who hasn't. I was just looking over the 15-minute girl's shoulder, and there are still plenty of numbers to be had. So if you haven't got your Bolita number, do that now. Before we let you go, Joe, question of the day. Today's question of the day is, well, it's actually a number.
You got a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's actually a number. We've got a dozen questions of the day, and depending on what number you choose between 1 and 12 will determine your question. So, Joe, give me your number.
3.
As if I had to ask. All right. So the question of the day for you, Joe Abini, question number 3 is Mario Lanza or Mario Andretti?
Probably Mario Andretti, because he's closer to me.
That's what I would think too. Yeah, I tried to get a little something for everybody here, and hopefully we'll get 12 callers and they'll each pick something different. Or I'll just throw out these questions later because I worked real hard on this list. Thank you, Joe, for always being there for us. We'll see you again real soon.
Bye, Joe.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye, Joe.
Thanks,
Bye,
Joe.
Keith. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
We got to go to a break real quick. Joe, Mr. Caltagirone is going to come back and finish that thought that he had just a moment ago. I know it's right there pressing on his mind. So stay right there. We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. Mario Nunez here, co-host of the Tampa Native Show. We're sitting here in the showroom of Larman Furniture, established in 1931. This year, about to celebrate its 80th anniversary. And I'd like to introduce to you at this time Jimmy Calamares. Jimmy is the owner of Larman Furniture and member of the family for a long time. And we'd like to say thank you, Jimmy. And how are you today?
Thank you. Fine. Doing wonderful.
Doing good?
Yeah.
Why don't you take a minute and maybe tell some of the folks that haven't heard the story a little bit about Larman Furniture.
Well, Larman was started in 1931 with my wife's grandfather, and he and a partner was called Friday Larman.
Okay.
Initially, and then
Mr. Friday was the other gentleman?
Mr. Friday was the other gentleman.
Okay.
And then in, I believe it was 1955, Mr. Friday wanted to get out, and then that's when my father-in-law, Curtis Larman, got in the business and bought his share out, and they had the business until my wife's grandfather wanted to get out.
Sure.
His name
At some point, everybody tries to get out.
Yeah.
At some point.
So, and then once he got involved, Curtis Larman got involved, the business started growing, and because they had their hard times. They started during the Depression,
of course, 31.
So, and then once my father-in-law got involved, he grew it, and then my sister-in-law Cheryl had gotten involved. And then 5 years later is when I was asked to see if I wanted to join the company, and 20 years later, you know.
What a wonderful family legacy. So once again, Jimmy, let me just say on behalf of the Tampa Native Show and all of our fans, thank you so much to you and to the Larman family for stepping up and being one of our first sponsors here in this this new show with Tampa Digital. Thank you so much.
Mario, thank you. We're excited about it. Whether you're a Tampa business or doing business in Tampa, we just thought it was a natural fit. We're Tampa natives, and we're just excited to be part of this wonderful sponsorship, and we look forward to the relationship.
Thank you again. So for Jimmy Calamares, this is Mario Nunez sitting inside the lovely showroom of Larman Furniture. Been here since 1931, celebrating this year 80 years in business. Talk about Tampa natives. So on behalf, again, of the Tampa Native Show, this is Mario Nunez saying salute and happy days. Back at the Tampa Native Show desk with the 15-minute girl, Steve Canella, Mr. Joe Caltagirone. And listen, while we were on that little break, Chuck, I just want to let you know, that's our producer who's just behind the magic door. When we go to the breaks like that, speak up just a little bit because our IFBs are turned down a little bit, so we can't hear you quite as well. But I think what you had mentioned just then was, please be sure and remember to solicit from our viewers, from our audience, from our fans, ideas about the upcoming Valentine's Day show special. And by that I mean, submit maybe your
pictures?
Well, certainly your pictures of your sweetheart. If you want to give a dedication, that show is going to be all dedicated to our fans and their sweethearts and their Valentines. So be sure to send photographs, a little bio, something, a couple, 3 lines that we might be able to read for you. Also, dedications. Also, if you have some ideas, what would be a perfect, if you will, Tampa, right? We want to, it's all about Tampa native Valentine's Day date. How about that?
There you go.
That would be
How
interesting.
about that one? So send those in to us, and we're certainly going to compile those.
It's going to be fun.
And how exciting is it that this year, February 14th is on?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
How about that? What a
Tuesday.
coincidence.
So we're going to actually be doing our show
On Valentine's
Day. So that's going to be real sweet. And probably we'll have some chocolates here on the
better
set
be
as well.
sweet,
And
sir.
roses. All right, Mr. Caltagirone, back to you, sir. We were talking a little bit before the break there about Sicily's location and how prime it was for
Invaders.
good raiders, invaders and
There you go.
conquerors.
Well, Sicily, it had everything, but it had nothing.
Is that right?
Yeah, the invaders just took everything they could, and up to the time that Frederick II of Germany controlled Sicily, then it began to really start thriving and so forth. But up until, to tell you the truth, not until 1940 to the 50s that it had changed.
1950s?
Yes.
So that's recent times, pretty recent times.
They were always had that struggle, and things didn't go right. Just, it was held back. But what I was thinking about before the break was that my father tells me the story in the village. If you married outside your nationality, you were kind of looked down on. Except if you married a Greek, it was all right. Because we were descendants of Greeks anyway.
Okay. So you had a little exemption there.
Yeah, they
You
would
could marry outside your group, provided it was Greek.
Greek. Then that was all right. They would accept that. They would say, "Sesa faces, sesa razza," same face, same race.
Same race.
And that was.
That's very interesting.
But like I said, the history of Sicily, it would take a volume.
Well, and listen, we've got nothing but time on our hands. Maybe not all tonight. And we're going to go to some photographs, and maybe this will help Mr. Caltagirone also with the description of the photographs. As you see the pictures come up on the monitor, Joe, feel free to comment on those. This is, of course, a picture that was taken by our own Steve Canella with his handy-dandy camera. And this is Centennial Park, if I'm not mistaken. This is the immigrant statue?
That's the immigrant statue, Centennial Park, and that's many Italian names are on that wall.
It's a very nice place, too.
Home of the Festa Italiana Bocce Ball tournament later this year, which we hope to be participating in.
Right in the heart of Ybor City.
We can roll through these photographs.
Yeah, we sure can, Chuck.
Feel free to.
Union Italiana.
Italiana, we can, yeah.
Look at that building there. That's a spectacular building. And that's where you had your New
Beautiful
Year's Eve,
architecture.
your New Year's Eve festivities,
on
correct?
in the grand ballroom.
On the 3rd floor.
I tell you, out of the 3 main buildings, the Centro Asturiano, the Círculo Cubano, and La Unión Italiana, this one's probably been looked after the best, although the Cuban clubs certainly, you know, they've been doing a wonderful job
it's
with that
coming back.
building now, and it's coming back, and
yeah.
we're so happy to preserve
Looks
it.
really
Elliot
good.
Fletcher was the designer of the Italian club and also the Cuban club.
And they're similar, so you can see that.
Yeah.
You know, they're in the motif with the columns and a certain and the large windows, and each one of them had 4 floors. We've got a caller on the air, on the line. Let's see who it is. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Giacomo Carney, calling from Tampa.
This is Jim Carney.
Jim Carney.
Okay.
Hi, Jim Carney. How are you today?
Benny.
Thanks for calling in.
I
You have
recognize the
a
accent.
question. Yes, Mr. Crane.
Let me explain to our guest. I spent 4 months in college and know just enough Italian to get into trouble with Sambuca. And but I wanted to just set up a little further discussion of the history of Sicily.
Okay.
Getting ready for my third trip to go back for my honeymoon, I read a 1,000-page history of Venice. And it covered the Kingdom of Sicily and Naples and all down each of the city-states. And Italy, to me, and I'd like your guests maybe to comment on this after I say a little more about Sicily. Let's take Syracuse, for example. This may have been mentioned already. I'm trying to cook, too, while
Are you cooking Italian?
Yeah. Focus right here.
a little ragu, bolognese.
There you go.
There you go.
So, Syracuse. That's Syracuse from Greece. That may have been said, but the second to probably Palestine. Not to offend anyone but it was Palestine longer than it was, and nobody had total hegemony, had control over it. But Sicily is probably the most conquered piece of ground. And the idea that it's part of the rest, wasn't even a bridge in the 70s between the mainland from the boot
over to Sicily
to the fireball that's kicking.
Wow.
And I found The Godfather 3 very edifying on this because they cover some of this history, and Michael Corleone, Al Pacino comments on the fact that how do they keep a positive attitude in Sicily after so much tragedy, with the vendetta and all. But let me hand off to your guest.
Okay.
And he's the man who would know. I'm just talking about what I've read and what I've seen and what I've learned. Okay, I'm going to pass the torch over.
Real quick before you go, we'll let you go now, but you have to your question of the day, sir. Number 1 through 12, not 3.
Okay, uno.
Oh, number 1.
Okay.
O solo mio or volare?
Okay, you got to help me.
O solo mio
He
or
was hoping you'd say that.
volare. Your choice?
Which song?
Yes.
Okay, say the names again.
O solo mio or volare.
O solo mio.
There it is. All right, Jim. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Grazie.
Buonasera. We'll forward that question. The question, I believe, if I heard Jim correctly, was, it's hard for us to imagine Sicily as having an identity onto itself because it's been conquered so many different times. And, we've got to get to that photograph tonight, the one of Mr. Caltagirone's family. So bring up those photos, guys. We're going to go rip through those photos real quick because we know that by the hands on the clock, it's getting away from us.
It happens every time.
If you'll go to the photographs, we'll get some commentary. Does that picture look familiar to you, Mr. Caltagirone? That looks like Figueroa and Company.
Right. It's.
That's before your time, certainly.
Before, yes. My friend who's a Figueroa always bring that picture up.
That's the
and this one as well?
Alfieri Dairy.
That's Alfieri's Dairy.
Alfieri.
I know the family well. I remember when they were located 6 Mile Creek, their farm.
There it is. This is the picture.
That's my uncle.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great.
My uncle Antonino.
Which one is Antonino? The
one
front
left,
center?
yes.
Okay.
Now, what did they sell in there?
That was a grocery store.
Like a dry goods or?
No, grocery.
Oh, okay.
Grocery.
Complete grocery.
And then
store.
later, we had a wholesale retail grocery. They built a big warehouse next to it. That is.
This looks like Ferlita.
That's Ferlita. That's from the Ferlita macaroni factory.
Yes.
Sure is.
I know his grandson is a dear friend of mine. We worked in the same office together. A good architect. That's the factory. Now they have remodeled. That's the Figueroa.
That's Ferlita.
Ferlita factory, which they have completely renovated that. They made a 2-story out of it. At one time, the family would live there, That's, of course, is a fish market, Agliano's.
Tagliano and Sons, right?
And I remember Agliano when it was only 8 feet wide.
Wow. Wow. And these are all names that are familiar to all of us that have grown up here in Tampa.
Yes.
Household names.
Gentlemen,
And that's the Italian Club. That's the Cantina of the Italian Club. That was about 1918 because the floor was not completed, the tile floor.
I like how everybody's dressed.
Everybody dressed for the photographs back then.
Yeah.
And speaking of me,
Yes, and speaking of you, who's speaking of you?
we're at the 15-minute mark now, so we have to kind of.
So you're going to break into a song? You're going to sing, oh, sono
No, I
mio.
don't sing Italian songs. I'm
Oh.
sorry. I love them though.
They are good. They're fun. They're happy. So we got.
And Mike Padrina would like to know
Yes.
where in Tampa you can get really good Italian sausage. So
There it
that's what
is.
they're
Mr.
chatting about
Caltagirone.
now
That's the
on
question for Joe.
That's the buzz
Italian
online.
sausage.
Italian sausage. Where do you go?
That's the word on the street.
Around on 26th Street,
Okay.
Nelson Caparici.
Okay, did you hear
Okay.
that, Mike?
Nelson Caparici on
Nelson
26.
Caparici.
Is he listed?
Last 2 weeks ago, he had about 200 people there. They have
Oh.
every year they all get together and make sausage, and all his
nice.
friends they barbecue sausage while they're making it and drink, and they make a big feast out of
We'll
it.
have to
Great.
Google. We'll have to
I
Google that.
Sounds delicious.
absolutely love Italian sausage,
Yeah.
and there's nothing better than an Italian sausage sandwich with a little
But
bit of pepper.
you know
a
what?
little-
there's really, to be fair, there's
Let's be
quite a
fair.
number of places that make
Okay.
good
Yeah,
Italian
Mike's
sausage.
in Orlando, but I think he would probably come over here to get some
One is
Italian
packaged
sausage, right,
already
Mike?
in the supermarket. Don't buy it. It's not Italian
No,
sausage.
it's fresh.
Yeah, we got a few more pictures.
We've got a
but
few more.
At some point, though, we have to hear the story about the cow, though.
Yeah, we got to hear the
Yes.
story about the cow and the rowboat. Go ahead. And okay, that's the Italian club, the cantina at the Italian
Yes.
club, much like the one at the Circolo Cubano. They had a cantina in the lower level. Next photograph.
Is Cantina also an Italian club?
No, that's a Centro
it?
Español.
Centro
Oh,
Español?
okay.
That's
Oh,
Espanol. That gentleman made the best coffee I had ever tasted in my life. Everybody would go there for a demitasse of coffee. I don't know what he put into it, but it was great.
Zambuca, probably. Go ahead.
That can't be the
Or a little Lemmy
Gasparilla
set.
parade.
That's got to be the
That is
Gasparilla
a
parade
Gasparilla
early,
parade.
early
That
on.
Gasparilla
The Italian
parade's
club.
amazing.
The Italian
Look
club
at
float,
that.
which they still have an active float, do they not?
They
Do they
do.
still
Yes,
have an active
they're building one right now. The
Oh,
crew's
great.
building
Joe,
one
can you get
now.
us in there? We want to walk in that parade. Can you get us in?
I'll
You
see
got
what I
it?
can
It's
do.
a
Thank
long
you.
walk.
That,
I've done it.
That's the cemetery in Ybor City?
that's the Italian club.
That's the Italian cemetery, yeah?
Yeah.
And again, another
That-
photograph. Let me
That's
see.
the
It says,
Sicilian club in West Tampa.
oh, the
that's
Sicilian
nice.
Club in West
West
Tampa.
Tampa.
It's a
2112
Is it still there?
Main and Howard.
Yes,
It's
it's still there.
Yeah?
It's not
I've seen-
occupied.
I've seen that building. I've seen that building. I'm not sure exactly what
That's,
they have housed in that
it
building
was
right
called it was La Sicilia or
Hmm.
something.
Yes. And here's
This is
the Kazan Theater.
the Casino
The
Theater
Kazan in Sicilia. It says
Yes.
Kazan Sicilia.
in Sicilian Club, at Sicilian Club in West Tampa. You know, people don't remember,
How about
but
that?
West Tampa, before it was annexed by the city, it was its own little municipality.
They
This is the
sold
Rio-
that building for $30,000.
Italian Village, the real Italian Village. How about that?
Wow.
Man,
On
look
East
at that
Lafayette,
picture.
which was later became Kennedy Boulevard, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes,
1955, the Rio Italian Village. Listen, I'm going to go rapid fire. I'm going to go rapid fire before we get to the Bolita drawing, and I'm going to ask questions of the day. Since we're not going to get too many more callers, but we're hoping to get more callers. That's okay, Mr. Caltagirone, you're on. You ready? Rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Question number 2. Gina Lollobrigida or Sophia Loren?
I'll take the fifth on that.
That's smart.
I'll go with Sophia.
They're both
I'll go with
beautiful
Sophia because she was born on my birthday, or I was born on hers. Question number 4. Luciano Pavarotti or Andrea Bocelli?
Favorite.
Okay.
By far.
Number 5. The Godfather or Goodfellas?
The Godfather.
All right, very good. Number 6 is an interesting one. Rocky Marciano or Rocky Balboa?
Rocky Marciano.
Of course. Question number 7. Joe DiMaggio or Yogi Berra?
Joe DiMaggio.
I knew that was going to
Yeah.
happen. Here's question number 8 for you basketball fans. Rolly Massimino or Jim Valvano?
I really don't know.
Okay, I'll go with Jimmy V. Never give up. Question number 9. Here's a wrestling question for you wrestling fans. Bruno Sammartino or Angelo Poffo? Angelo Poffo, for those of you that may not know, is the father of one late, great Randy Savage. Let's go with number 10, football. Gino Capoletti or Gino Marchetti?
Capoletti.
Weightlifting, for those of you that are weightlifting fans, here's 2 popular Italian weightlifters, world champions, by the way, Mr. Olympia. Lou Ferrigno or Franco Colombo? Lou Ferrigno,
Ferrigno.
the Hulk, Franco Colombo.
Hulk.
One was
That
about
guy.
6'5", and the other was about 5'6". And of course, hockey will put the Esposito brothers up against each other. Tony Esposito or Phil Esposito?
Phil.
Now, do we get to hear the cow story?
Yeah, let's get to the cow
I
story
would
real
like to hear
quick.
the cow story.
All right, you're on, Mr. Caltagirone.
Okay, this is wasn't yesterday. It was 1899.
Yeah, that wasn't yesterday.
Yeah.
1899. Picture this. There was a stray cow, and the sheriff department picked up this stray cow, and it was in the pound for a few days. And my great uncle, Antonino, goes to the pound and buys the cow for whatever the feed cost was feeding the
Keep
cow.
it there.
Right.
So it was about $30, which was a huge amount.
Yeah, that was.
And he
lovely.
took it home on Fifth Avenue and 17th Street. And across the street from Fifth Avenue, 17th Street, on the corner, it was a cigar factory, a wooden building, 3-story high, and about 400 employees. Well, after a couple of months, the owner found out where his cow was, so he went over to, his name was Allen, and he owned a feed factory, a feed store in Ybor City. So he went over to my great uncle Antonino, and he says that was his cow. And he says, well, fine, all you have to do is pay me $30 and I'll give you your cow back. That's what I paid for the cow. So they agree on that. But then Alan says, and I want the calf that was born. And he says, no, you can't have the calf because the calf was born when I owned the cow. Well, they got to a real hot argument, and the 400 employees of the cigar factory are hanging out the window.
Oh my
Watching the
gosh.
argument.
Listen to the
Very
argument.
entertaining, I'm sure.
And by that time, while they were arguing back and forth, Antonino's brother Giuseppe comes running out of the side door. 2 shots were fired. And this gentleman on a horse on the street side drops out of the saddle dead. That was Alan's backup man.
Oh,
His,
wow.
his name was Erskine. Well, my two great uncles just came from New Orleans after the lynching of the 11 Sicilians,
Right,
and in their mind, it says there's no justice in this country, and they escaped to West Tampa. The family hid them in West Tampa. Well, after several weeks, they turned themselves in, and they had the best lawyer, which was Sparkman at the time. He was the
Sparkman.
top lawyer of the day, and so they went to court. And now when they went to court, each one of the jurors would say, they said they had to get, the juror was outside of Ybor City because no one was a citizen at that time, no Cubans or Spanish or Italian. So they had to get them from the outlying area of Ybor City. And they all said that they did not like Italian. Now, plus the governor of Florida told the jury that he would give them $100 reward if they would convict the Licata brothers.
Wow.
That's not very
Wow.
good.
Now, this Gary Momino, Professor Gary Momino,
I've heard that name.
uh, dug this out of the archives of the Tribune. It's in the,
It's fact.
it's
yeah.
fact
Yeah.
that the governor told him to give him
What a bribe.
But
That's a
anyway,
good story.
Well, things like that are still
have time to
happening
do that.
today, so
Hand me the
Not
bowling
much has
balls,
changed.
darling. They're just to your left there.
We've got a few minutes left.
And
Great
we've got
story,
about
Joe.
5
okay,
minutes.
yeah.
here you go.
Joe told us also a very fascinating story just before. Did you get to the
Yes.
punchline with the cow?
No, I didn't in the story now.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We got about 2 minutes to go, Joe.
Okay, so what happened was no one would testify except this brave Spanish foreman. He said it was Alan that shot at the brothers and hit his friend. So the jury went out, and when it came back, was it guilty or not guilty? What do you think?
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
guilty.
Not guilty.
And I told my dad, I was a little boy then, and said, Pop, how could that be? He said, well, we outsmarted them. I said, how? He says all of the cigar factory workers chipped in nickels and dimes and pennies, raised $20,000, and they bought off the jury.
They bought the jury. You see your $100 and raised your $20,000.
Right.
Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
They
ending.
bought
Pretty
off
good
the
stuff.
jury.
That is really, really remarkable.
Darling, if you'll reach over there and grab that shirt,
True
show
story.
it right there.
I will show
To
you
camera
shirt.
number 2.
Joe?
Joe, reach in there, do the honors as all of our guests usually do.
Amaryllis
Here
shirt.
comes it.
13.
Oh, I gotta go to the.
Darling, if you'll go to that magic page that has all the
yes,
numbers.
okay.
Here's the first one,
Oh.
darling. You need your glasses?
No, it's bright and clear. It is
Number 31?
number 31. Oh, that would be Felipe Nunez.
Felipe
Felipe.
Nunez? We know
Number
that-
29.
We know that name. Felipe Nunez. Tell her what he's won, Johnny. It's won a fabulous Amaryllis
Won a
t-shirt.
green shirt.
And guess what my father's favorite color is?
Green.
That would be
Green.
green. Get in there and get you another
It's
one,
gonna look
darling.
good on you, Gramps.
Darling, get that next to you right there, darling. If you will hand it to me. What do you got, Stevie? Call
This
it
is
out.
17.
Oh, number
Oh,
17.
17 would be, okay, this time it goes to Nathan Hine.
Nathan,
how about
you won one of our brand new
How apropos.
TampaNativeShow.com stickers for your car
Yes.
or your motorcycle helmet. Get in there. We're going to give away 3 of these stickers tonight. Thank you, Joe. Oh, here you go. This is number 50.
Number 50,
50.
right on the money, Miss Kathy White. You are one
White.
lucky
She wins
lady.
all the
Wow, Kathy wins all the time. Listen, you've got to get into play to win. And here comes our last Lucky Bolita drawing winner tonight. And oh no, we're going to have to
Are
do
you
some-
kidding me?
I can't
Ricky
believe
Purnell?
it. No, look at
Oh my
this.
gosh.
No, it's
Oh, no.
Fran Constantino.
Fran Constantino.
Fran's not on
no.
tonight.
She's not on tonight.
She's not on tonight.
She's missed
So it
her
goes
number
to
60.
Mike McCall.
Mikey McCall. Mike,
Okay.
make sure we
Mikey.
have
You
your
want a
address.
sticker.
Make sure we have your address so we can send you one of our
Yeah,
stickers.
he lives in Riverview now.
We've got a whole bunch of them. The UPS
Congratulations.
man just delivered
Yeah.
today because we were manufacturing them
But
this week.
Fran, you're number 1 again.
Fran, you're number 1 again. That's pretty amazing because really you'd think this thing was rigged like the old Bolita
Yep.
was.
Did you ever
but-
think you'd be playing Bolita on the show?
No.
How much time do we have left, Chuck? Well, we've got a little bit over 1 minute left, and Joe, before we have to sign off, we want to just quickly, is there anything that you just want to say that you want us to know, something about the legacy of the Sicilian in Tampa, something about your own history, your own family? Because this is being recorded into perpetuity forever and ever.
Well, I often think about how did they survive?
Yes.
How did they survive?
hardships
the
that they-
hardship
yep.
they had. It's not only the Sicilians, but the Spanish, Cubans,
Sure.
and any other nationality
Yeah.
at that time. How did they survive? Poor things, they...
With none of the conveniences we have
Not-
today, even before
nothing.
refrigeration, before refrigeration, what did they do? How did,
lot of courage.
Florida, and especially this area, was swampy, was mosquito laden. There
Yeah.
were Indians here
Alligators.
before we.
Mosquitoes.
Snakes.
I was stationed in Vero Beach, Florida during the war. No mosquito control. It was a hellhole of the
Oh,
war.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
There was Johns Island. I made a statement on Johns Island. The mosquitoes are eating me up. And I said, I wouldn't give you $100 for the whole damn island. I spent 40 years of my career designing mansions on Johns Island.
We're so happy to
Yes.
have you here with us, Joe.
Thank you,
Listen,
Joe.
thank you
Thank
to
you.
those
Yeah,
of,
pleasure.
to those of you that have been there with us each and every week. We want to say we'll be here again next week. Remember, Monday night at 8 p.m., channel 32 on Verizon, 614 on Bright House, and Tuesday afternoons at noon. Joe, thank you so much. We're probably going to have to have you back, Joe. You've
Enjoyed
got some
being here.
great stories.
good guest.
Thanks,
All
Joe.
about Tampa. We're here each and every week. So on behalf of my broadcast partner, Steve Cannella, the 15-minute girl, give us that 4-shot. We'd like to say salud and happy days. We love you, Tampa. Thanks for being there, and thanks for playing Bolita.
Hi, Tampa.
See you next week.
Me dice que nunca oí eso. No, sí, cómo no. Bueno, tráemelo después. Bueno, si yo te veo después, vamos a hablar de eso. Vamos a hablar de eso. Sí. El corazón mío está en Tampa. Aquí mismo, en West Tampa. En Tampa. Back when we were younger, and everything seemed new. We used to have a lot of fun, yes we did, no matter what we do. Sleeping days, long summer nights, going anywhere we pleased. This love I've always called my own, a love that I've always known, a city that I call my home, the home from which I never roam. This love affair was meant to be. Oh, well, I love her and she loves me. Yes, I remember Tampa. She remembers me.